The sound of an alarm clock pierced the silence of the small apartment. Mark groaned as he reached over to turn it off. It was 5:30 a.m., and another long day lay ahead of him. He sat on the edge of his worn-out bed, rubbing his tired eyes, before glancing at a framed photo on his bedside table, a picture of him and his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, at her last birthday party. Mark smiled despite the ache in his back. "Everything I do is for you, Lily," he murmured. In the next room, Lily was already up, sitting at a small desk covered in crayons, paper, and a little keyboard. She hummed softly as her fingers danced over the keys. The notes filled the air, light and cheerful, but Mark was too busy getting ready for work to notice. Mark worked 2 jobs, one as a janitor at a local school during the day, and the other as a delivery driver at night. Money was tight, but he was determined to provide for Lily. "Dad, do you have to work late again tonight?" Lily asked over breakfast, her big brown eyes filled with worry. Mark sighed, ruffling her hair. "Just for a little while longer, sweetheart. We need to save up for your school supplies." "But I miss you," Lily said quietly, poking at her cereal. Mark's heart ached, but he forced a smile. "I miss you too, kiddo. But we're a team, right? And teams always stick together." Lily nodded, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. While Mark worked tirelessly, Lily spent most of her afternoons alone at home. She loved drawing and writing stories, but her favorite thing to do was play the small keyboard her dad had bought her from a thrift store. One day, Lily's school announced a talent show. Excited but nervous, she signed up. She didn't tell Mark, she wanted it to be a surprise. Every evening after finishing her homework, Lily practiced in secret, pouring her heart into creating her own song. Her little fingers stumbled at first, but over time, the melody began to flow beautifully. The night of the talent show arrived. Mark had rushed straight from work, his janitor's uniform still on, to make it just in time. He took a seat at the back of the crowded school auditorium, exhausted but eager to support Lily. He didn't know what to expect. "She didn't tell me she was performing," he thought, a bit puzzled. When Lily's name was announced, Mark's eyes widened. She walked onto the stage, clutching her keyboard nervously. The crowd fell silent as Lily began to play. The soft, melodic notes filled the room, and soon the entire audience was captivated. Her small hands moved across the keys with a confidence and grace Mark had never seen before. Mark sat frozen, his jaw dropping as tears welled up in his eyes. "That's my Lily," he whispered. When she finished, the crowd erupted into applause. Lily beamed, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on Mark. She waved shyly, and he waved back, his heart bursting with pride. After the show, a woman approached Mark and Lily. She introduced herself as Mrs. Bennett, a music teacher and pianist. "Your daughter has an extraordinary gift," Mrs. Bennett said. "She has a natural ear for music. Have you considered formal lessons for her?" Mark hesitated, his face falling. "I'd love that, but lessons are expensive. I'm just trying to make ends meet." Mrs. Bennett smiled warmly. "I understand. I'd be happy to teach her for free. Talent like hers shouldn't go to waste." Mark was stunned. "Free? Are you serious?" Mrs. Bennett nodded. "It would be my honor." Lily's face lit up. "Dad, can I? Please?" Mark chuckled, wiping a tear from his cheek. "Of course, sweetheart. How could I say no?" Under Mrs. Bennett's guidance, Lily's skills blossomed. She learned complex pieces quickly and even started composing her own music. Word about the young piano prodigy spread, and soon Lily was invited to perform at local events. Each time, Mark was there, cheering her on from the front row, his chest swelling with pride. Despite his long work hours, Mark never missed a performance. "You're amazing, Lily," he'd tell her after every show. "Don't ever let anyone dim your light." Lily's success didn't just bring joy to their lives, it also brought opportunities. Sponsors began reaching out, offering to support Lily's education and music career. One evening, after a big concert where Lily received a standing ovation, she sat with Mark backstage. "Dad," she said, her voice soft but serious. "You've worked so hard for me. I want to make your life easier now." Mark laughed. "You already have, kiddo. Seeing you happy is all I need." "But I want to do more," Lily insisted. "One day, I'll play in the biggest concert halls in the world, and I'll make sure you never have to work 2 jobs again." Mark pulled her into a hug. "Lily, you're my greatest accomplishment. You don't owe me anything. But I know you're going to do incredible things, and I'll be cheering for you every step of the way." Years later, Lily stood on the stage of a grand concert hall. The spotlight shining down on her as she played a piece she had composed herself. The audience was mesmerized, hanging on to every note. In the front row, Mark sat proudly, now retired, watching his daughter live her dream. As the final note echoed through the hall, the crowd erupted into applause. Lily stood, bowing gracefully before looking at her dad with a beaming smile. Mark clapped the loudest, tears streaming down his face. "That's my Lily," he whispered. The screen fades to black with the words, "Sometimes, the greatest gifts come from the smallest sacrifices."